First Coast's most accurate forecast from the First Coast News Weather Team, certified by Weather Rate.
Hi there, friends. I'm meteorologist Robert Spett. I'm going to be joined by meteorologist Lee Southwick here in just a bit. But today, we are tracking, well, nothing out there. What you just seen there, though, that was a look back, and Lee's going to talk about more of that in a minute, at Hurricane Dora, which the anniversary is today as well. We're also going to be looking at the anniversary of Hurricane Irma that comes up today and tomorrow. It's the peak of hurricane season out there. And I think the big topic today is the fact that there's nothing out there at this time. We got a lot of dry air in place, plenty of shear in the atmosphere. Sea surface temperatures are still above average, but just in general, things are calm. Even our last tropical wave that tried to develop, everybody was talking about it being named Gabrielle, never got named. And the reason is dry air just put a chokehold on it and strangled it before it could even get a grasp and at least some sort of intensification out of it. But just taking a look at this, so we are right here at the peak of hurricane season. It is September 10th. The average, typically at the peak of hurricane season, there is always a storm out there. Over the course of the last 100 years. We actually have to go back to 2016, when was the last time we didn't have any named storms in the Atlantic. And even, I was looking back at the 2016 day, there even was, even at that time, areas that were being monitored for a low to medium chance of tropical development. It is very rare to have absolutely nothing out there. So here's some of the stats Lee actually threw together here for us. The last time there was no named storms on this date was in 2016. No activity is still expected in the next 7 days. And if this holds, September could be the quietest since 1992, and at least the first half of September has been the quietest since 1992. And you're probably thinking, and a few people have already said this to me, because a very historic storm took place in the year 1992, and that was Hurricane Andrew. Andrew hit in August. And then there was just this quiet spell after Andrew until about October, when Bonnie hit as well. But for the entire month of September, it was pretty much calm in the tropics. And I point that out for two reasons. One, just to show you how far back you have to go to when we had a point like this where we didn't have much development. But two, Andrew was an absolutely devastating storm, and it really just shows it only takes one. Even if it is quiet, last year it was pretty quiet for, a month and a half, and then we had Helene and Milton. You remember August of last year, there was no storms. It was pretty remarkable in 2024. So, it's even though we have a calm period now, those water temperatures out there are still exceptionally warm, and we still have the chance for some additional tropical development. Let's take a look at the Saharan dust, and this is definitely probably the key factor and the reasoning why everything's been so calm. Remember that Saharan dust comes out of the Sahara Desert. Hey, go figure. Wind blows in from the west, and there's been a lot of it. So any tropical systems that have been trying to develop along these waves, the most recent was Invest 91L. It was out there. A lot of people were paying attention to it. A lot of models were saying, yeah, this is going to develop. And this Saharan dust just jumped right in and said, not today, friends. If you're curious more about it here, just remember that it is kind of being blown from the desert, gets pushed out over the Atlantic here. Now, for tropical systems, you need abundant moisture and warm sea surface temperatures. And despite the warm sea surface temperatures we do have out there, the moisture is definitely decreased when that dry air infiltrates the tropics. And that can just basically choke out, is what we pretty much call it here, or dry out tropical systems from developing. And thus, you see there, overall things are not not conducive. And with that said, water temperatures are still above average. You take a look at the main development region where a lot of storms are typically developed at this time of year. The sea surface temperatures are about 1 to almost 2 degrees above average in this area of the Atlantic. And then we look out towards the Caribbean. Let's actually rewind that just a little bit here. Right there, the Caribbean is also looking at above average sea surface temperatures. But you might see that little cool spot east of the state of Florida. See a little cool spot there? Yeah, small patch. You know where that's from? That is from Aaron, our one storm that we did have out here last month, moved through that specific area, southwestern Bermuda, and it stirred up the ocean, brought some cooler water temperatures from down below and put them up near the surface and caused a little bit of cooling at the surface. So that's why you do have kind of that little patch, that little break in the warmer sea surface temperatures there. But just in general, if you just take a look across the entire Atlantic right now, it's above average and pretty extraordinary. Meanwhile, by the way, if you are curious, and we're still talking about the tropics here, Kiko is out there off the coast of Hawaii. This thing was a major hurricane for a little while. It since has just absolutely positively fallen apart. You might be looking at the position going, there's no cloud cover there. That's because we're looking at infrared satellite imagery. And on infrared, it's not even picking up the low-level clouds, which is pretty much left with it. And that was actually one of the, I shouldn't say worries that I had with the storm, but definitely expectations. The expectation was it was going to encounter dry air and relatively cooler sea surface temperatures and cause it to weaken out just a bit here. So, yeah, thus, there you go. You had it weakening out. By the way, I also do want to look back at this date in 2017. Yeah, we're going to go back to there. Remember Irma? Yeah, that was off the southwest coast of Florida here and came on shore in southwest Florida, pushed a lot of water around out ahead of it and just caused absolutely significant flooding here along the first coast just because of those tides and those floodwaters were backed up here, thus causing those water levels to rise. Boy, a devastating storm and definitely one of the worst that we've seen here on the first coast for some time. I'm actually trying to pull up some other details I have on this one here. Point is, yeah, it was a pretty bad storm. We're going to have more on that at firstcoastnews.com as well, and tomorrow morning on Good Morning Jacksonville, kind of talking about it and just breaking down this storm system, because definitely one that is rememberable. And if you want to share kind of your comments or anything on it, check out our First Coast News Weather Watchers page, or you can send us any messages as well, just kind of keeping you informed on historical storms and the fact that it is quiet, but on this date, things have been exceptionally active in the past. All right, do want to jump over, and this is one thing Nina says, don't count your chickens before they hatch. And I think what they mean by this is one of our comments, just kind of answering here. What do you mean by that is don't say the season is over with. And by no means are we saying the season is over with, okay? Just because we are at the peak of the hurricane season, it's like you climb up the mountain, you get to the top of the mountain, you still have to go back down the mountain. And despite the fact there is dry air right now, and we also don't have a positive phase of the Maddie and Julian oscillation, which fancy word for saying there's just not this broad kind of instability. So right now we are in a somewhat calm phase, but yeah, I 100% agree. Don't count your chickens before they hatch, because all we could do is just get some more convection out there. If this dry air backs off a bit, we could see storms spin up. And like we seen last year, we had Helene and Milton in late September, October. We had Nicole, if you remember, just 2-3 years ago in November. So it is still the peak of tropical season. It is extraordinarily quiet, but it doesn't mean this is going to last forever. I don't say that as hype or anything, just as a mere fact of the matter. But at least for the time being, as I look at most long-range model outlooks, there is nothing indicating a significant storm system developing out there in the near or even extended forecast. So once again, the quietest tropical season since 2016. I shouldn't say the quietest tropical season. The first time since 2016 we have not had a named storm on the peak of hurricane season. And if this continues, this trend does continue, which we do anticipate at least through a good portion of September, it could be one of the calmest Septembers since 1992. And like I said, that don't take that as a gospel to say that the rest of the season is going to be calm, because that is 100% not what I am saying here. And that's a very good point, Nina, for pointing that out here. So, yeah, you know what? The other thing we got going on today, by the way, and I just want to kind of leave you with this here, here at First Coast News, the weather is relatively nice, but we do have a stiff northeasterly wind at about 10 to 25, even gusts near 30 miles per hour along the coast. This is causing tides to rise. So in some of those low-lying kind of classic coastal floodplain areas, we could be looking at water levels about 2 to 3 feet above average. In fact, I just checked Main Street Bridge's tidal gauge, and it is running about 3 feet. So a lot of, like, even around San Marco, the Riverwalk, Hogan's Creek, and then even further upriver as well. A lot of those communities right along the water's edge of the St. Johns River are going to be looking at exceptionally high tides. Not to mention, yesterday was a king tide, so we still have those water levels fairly high due to that full moon, which is starting to wane right now. So here's just a look at the forecast, with those winds as we go ahead through this evening. Still cruising out of the north, but at least by tonight, heading into early tomorrow morning, it does slowly begin to taper off just a little bit. And in fact, dare I say, we're going to be looking, as those winds taper off out of the north, dare I say, we're going to almost feel a little autumnal on Thursday, Friday, into Saturday. The dew points are going to start to come down. The temperatures are going to start to come down, especially if you get out early in the morning. It's actually going to feel kind of nice here on the First Coast and feel a little pumpkin spice autumn weather like out there. So something to look forward to if you want some kind of cooler weather out there in the forecast. Anyways, I guess Lee's not going to be joining me, but just fine. We just kind of run through here. I wanted to talk to you all really quick here on FCN Plus about the fact that there is no tropical areas out there at this time. That is fantastic news. It could be one of the quietest Septembers since the early 90s, and at least here on September 10th, 2025, it's the first time since 2016, that we have not had a named storm system in the tropical Atlantic, despite above average sea surface temperatures and this summer being one of the warmest on record for the southeast. There's just way too much dry air and dust that is just suffocating any tropical development. Of course, we'll always keep you posted here at firstcoastnews.com with more information, and check out firstcoastnews.com/Hurricane Central so you could track the tropics with us as well. I'm meteorologist Robert Spetta. As always, thanks for watching, friends.